Not content with your content? You've come to the right place. The DisContent Show with Joe Kuzma. Every brand starts with a story. Here's how you can grow your business by sharing it. Now, with today's topic, the host of the DisContent Show, Joe Kuzma.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the DisContent Show. My name is Joe Kuzma, and I'm back this week after dealing with a really bad illness. I couldn't even speak, let alone kind of breathe. So I apologize for my absence. Usually I have the show out with some tips and tricks here for your content marketing, your social media marketing, or anything you're doing with new media and in this digital age. However, I always preach consistency, and that got me thinking on today's topic is actually along the lines of not only being consistent, maybe letting your audience know something's going on, This show usually runs weekly, and it got me thinking about an entirely different topic as to whether or not I may want to kick this to every other week, and that's just on the topic of burnout. And it's real easy to kind of just, get involved and start to stress, start to worry. Maybe you don't have enough things to talk about. I mean, this show has been running for close to a year now, weekly, with maybe a skip here or there with a holiday or whenever I come down with a sickness. And, I was beating myself up over whether or not to release something last week. And that's where you start to get in trouble with your content marketing. Just take a deep breath and don't be a slave to the content. So that's kind of what I want to talk about today, is being a slave to content marketing being what you want, what you make of it, and then also dealing with, just burnout. Because you know what? If you become a slave to content, then that means you are going to stress about whether you have something constantly. Now, I always talk about being good, not great. And we know everything you end up doing, if you focus on the good, it's so you don't overstress or overextend yourself. Usually what you're going to put out there is probably going to be great anyways, but if you tend to be a perfectionist, you have a little bit of OCD to yourself, kind of like I do, you tend to overthink things, and you're going to dwell on it, you're going to stress, it's going to give you some anxiety, you're going to worry, you're going to burn out. And that's what I don't want anybody to do, especially if this is like a side hobby or this is something that's in addition to any other business efforts that you have. Because if you have a full-time business and you're building like a social media or blogging or podcasting or anything like that type of digital platform in order to expand your business, it's additional tasks, it's additional hats that you're going to wear in addition to whatever that you're already doing. So this is going to cause you some added stress because it's going to take added time in addition to everything else that you're doing now. Oh, I got to write a blog post. I need a blog post this week. I need a blog post every day. I need 3 or 4 of them every day. And as you can tell, it's going to get quite ridiculous if you try and keep up that type of workload. So as I often advocate here on the show, you need to have a schedule. But even if you have a schedule, you're very regimented, you're in the groove, something like an illness, and if you could tell, I'm already kind of gravelly still trying to recover from this, even with my voice in my throat right now, it's going to knock you out of the game. How can you possibly do a podcast if you can't talk? How can you write or type a blog if you can't think or see straight? Your head's pounding, you're congested, you're tired. These things are going to happen, and this is something you just got to work around, especially if this is an extra sort of deal for you as well for whatever business or service or whatever you're providing. Maybe you're starting your own brand new venture. And this is one of the best ways for people to be able to find you. And content marketing is what you make of it, but you don't want to make a mountain out of a molehill here. And because what's going to happen is you're going to get upset with maybe it's not working out for you as well as you would like. Or maybe you're putting in way more time and it's taking away from other things. And then you're eventually going to come to dislike it, to hate it. And if you're a slave to it, you may even be burned out. And I was discussing this with some other ventures that I have because, I tend to maybe even on one of my other ventures post a blog daily. I even think about like when I write a journal, for example, and you're kind of tied to doing that almost daily or every other day. Well, in the other venture, it's like, hey, we do something daily. What if we did 3 or 4 things daily? Like, there's competitors, they try and meet different quotas, and sometimes the stuff that comes out of that is just not quality. And it's quantity versus the quality, and you would rather have something that's more quality that somebody would actually get some value out of. That's the whole purpose for writing a blog or recording a podcast or posting something to social media. So content marketing, if you're doing this and you become a slave to the content and you think, oh, I got to pump all of this stuff out, just stop. You don't have to be a slave to content. As soon as you do that, you're definitely going to burn yourself out. And even doing something like this show once a week sometimes can even burn me out. So having a week off with the sickness, hey, it's not too shabby. Now I'm back into the groove, back into the mood, and talking to you guys about this. So I'm hoping, this isn't necessarily like strategy based or how to, but this is something that I hope kind of helps guide you along in your content creation process. Now, having said that, content marketing is what you make of it. If I go and skip 3 weeks and don't do a show, record a podcast, then I can't expect my audience to be there in 3 weeks when I decide to do one. So you kind of have to have some type of schedule and some type of consistency to it, or people won't know when or where to look for you. And that's already a problem that you're fighting for when you're on the internet with millions of other people that have their own blogs, their own podcasts, news stations, TV, YouTube. All of this stuff is noise competing for someone's attention. And when you finally have it, you don't want to lose it. So you got to stay consistent with that. And I'm always talking about the sweat equity. And what exactly does that mean, Joe? I talk about sweat equity with this stuff because if you don't end up doing any of it, you got to put in some time, you got to put in some effort, and you may even have to put in some money. But for the most part, when you're looking at anything that you're doing with digital marketing versus any type of traditional marketing, blogging, podcasting, social media posts, things of that nature should be a minimal cost when compared to your traditional, let's put an ad on TV, let's put an ad in a newspaper or magazine, or let's send a direct mail piece. So when you consider that, your time and your effort is what your sweat equity is. It's how much time you put into it, and it's how much of an effort that you put into it. If you're too lazy, and let's say I just cut this podcast off right now, it was only 6 minutes and it was no value to anyone, then I don't expect to have a whole lot of listeners or viewers on this particular piece of content, a whole lot of readers if it was a blog post that's only like 150 words. Now, you don't have to go out and write War and Peace and do 1,000 words, but something in the ballpark of maybe 400 words, you'll know if there's enough meat to it. You'll know if you've gotten to your point and made all of your points within something that you've written or something that you spoke of. So content marketing is what you make of it. And if you happen to have to put a little bit of money behind it, I mean, some people, I fall into this trap sometimes, even myself, or even some of the software that I recommend. It's like, hey, am I going to use this piece of software because, I'm going to have to pay for it? And you do have to watch your budgets, as any conscious business owner would do. But do that within reason. Don't cheat yourself just because you want to save a penny also. So sometimes it's going to take a little bit of money, even if that means running a Facebook ad to get some people to see your brand, see your products and services, or even see the things that you're doing with content marketing. Now, content marketing is really important in the sense of, I mentioned competing against millions of people that are out there. When you're writing a blog or putting a podcast out there, when you do something that's quality and you've put in the time and you've put in the effort, this is going to help get you noticed. You can't assume that everyone is going to just come searching for your website by name. Your product's going to show up on page 1 of Google or any of these other things. You also can't assume that anyone's just coming directly to your homepage. So when you end up doing some of these additional content marketing type of posts, podcasts, whatever it is that you may be doing, even on social media, I've mentioned this before on the show, Facebook, Twitter, anything you put out there may show up first. It's also important to make sure that it comes back to you. If you have a website, you want to make sure there's links. You want to make sure those are in your profile and that everything comes full circle and that you're not walling yourself off there. So doing content marketing can be low cost. It can be easy. You don't have to overcomplicate matters. You don't want to burn yourself out. So get used to a schedule. And if you have the ability to, I've done this before in the past, and obviously I didn't do it last week or there would have been a show. But sometimes I record, a couple of these at a time when I have the ability to and the inspiration strikes. So there's no harm in sitting down and hammering some stuff out. Now, if you think to yourself, well, I'm going to do this once a month. I'm going to write 4 blog posts on the first Monday of every month, and I'm going to do it right there. This could also burn yourself out too, because you may not have 4 at that time. But if you could do 2, then you don't have to worry about the following week. Or you do 1 and you revisit and do the next 3 the following week. It's just a matter of getting into that groove and, doing something that's just healthy for you. Let's face it, your mental health, your stability, your physical health with your rest and your emotions and everything else, it all comes into play with this. So when you feel well, all of your other stuff is going to do great. When you don't feel well and you're not giving it your best effort and you're not you don't have to put like a bunch of time. For some people, it'll be fast and easy. For some people, it's going to take a little bit longer. Only you know you. And when you find that out and you get that right mix, this is going to be a success for you. So remember, content marketing is what you make of it. You don't have to be a slave to content. You can be a slave to your schedule though, but you set that schedule. So make it work for you. Don't make it work you, I guess, is the best way to put this. And I hope some of this helps because, I was thinking to myself, I talk about these type of things all the time. I talk about sweat equity. I talk about schedules. I talk about making a pile of content, setting it aside, and then drawing from it. Hey, if you put it there, you have your little virtual bookshelf, you put it on the side, you pull it off the shelf, and then use it at the time when it's necessary. Those are all great things, and it helps free you up for doing other things, whether it be involved with your business, your brand, your work, your office, whatever, or it just gives you more time maybe to just spend with family and friends as well. And those are things that are going to help you succeed. It's going to help you grow, and it's going to help everything else take off like a rocket ship as well. So just keeping that in mind, I hope this was a helpful episode. If you would like to hear from me more than once a week or less than once a week, I'd also like your feedback on that as well, because I fall into this same trap. I'm like, hey, should I do more? Should I do more? Should I do more? Should I do less? Should I do less? Time is money as well. So only you can answer that for yourself. You're going to find the right mix, and I'm totally confident that you will find the right mix and it'll work out for you. So until next time, my name is Joe Kuzma. Don't forget to subscribe. Go visit over on the website at joekuzma.com for all the places that I'm at on social media, as well as some other tips and tricks. And just thinking about it right now, I should get to writing a blog post sometime soon. So my name's Joe. Until next time, I always encourage my listeners to be safe, be good, and I'll catch you later. Hi, folks. This is Joe Kuzma. No, don't worry. You're not hearing things twice. I'm just here to say, from the bottom of my heart, thank you for listening to today's show and being a follower and subscriber of the DisContent podcast. And I want to remind you that if you're interested in more information about all the various things it is that I do, whether it be about this show, content marketing, or you want to ask a question, you may visit me at joekuzma.com. That's JOEKUZMA.com. Or you can follow me as well on Facebook. Make sure you get the page and not the personal profile. Sorry, it's only for friends and family. Also on Twitter at Joe_Kuzma, LinkedIn or Instagram. Also, don't forget, if you haven't already, subscribe, whether that be on iTunes, YouTube, or your favorite podcast provider, so you don't miss out on any of the great episodes that we have. Once again, thank you again for your support, and I look forward, as always, to speaking and interacting with each of you again soon.